This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.
And welcome back, everybody. I heard a stat fairly recently that 37% of us, when you get to, call it middle age, will be involved in some type of auto accident, be it small, large, but that's kind of a staggering stat when you think about it. Now, if you're somebody that has been involved in a car accident recently, it can be life-changing. There's so much going on there. You might have trouble sleeping, flashbacks, guilt, shame, which is what we're going to talk about today. And the main reason we're talking about all of this is because many people don't realize that psychotherapy is available, many times paid for by insurance, and can help you with all of these challenges. A lot of times it's viewed as, I was in a car accident, I have a neck issue, it's a physical thing. But no, there's a big mental component involved in it. She is somebody that provides that mental health assistance to people with her practice, and she's Miriam Rosario, and she's back with us on the program. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Great to be here.
This has been an eye-opening experience for myself, and I'm sure many others, that this exists, that it's covered by insurance mostly. Am I right in saying that?
Yes, it's covered by the PIP portion of the auto insurance.
Which I didn't even know I had, or you have to elect to have it. I think we talked recently that most insurance plans, many of them, provide for transportation like Uber and Lyft, and you're paying for that, Same thing with towing. A ton of people I know don't know that towing is connected in their plan. And that's not just for an auto accident. You could just have a car breakdown and you're stuck, and towing's available, depending on your plan, 10 miles, 100 miles, whatever it might be, you're paying for it. But they're not telling you because they don't want to pay. They don't want to pay the towing company. So we're telling you that this is available, psychotherapy, to help you navigate post-accident. So shame is what we're going to talk about today. And this is something I never even considered. Miriam, enlighten us on the word shame connected to these accidents.
Well, a lot of the times when a client has been involved in an auto accident, there's a lot of shame that's connected to it because of surviving it, or loss of independence, or because of the physical changes that can occur because of the injuries that are sustained, and also the perceived failure of not being able to avoid it or prevent it, and also the emotional reactions, because we can't really plan how we are going to react after having an accident.
That holds true even for the physical aspect, because you could be months out and develop a neck issue. Where did this even come from? Why do I feel a certain way? And certainly, mentally, you could have, like you said, flashbacks, things present themselves later, after the accident. I never asked this question. We'll get back into the shame in a moment, but how soon should you start psychotherapy after a pretty significant accident?
As soon as you can.
Wow.
And a lot of it has to do with understanding that you have that coverage.
This is it. This is what we're talking about.
Yes, and I've worked with chiropractors and neurologists, and they're aware, and they will let the patient know, because when the patient comes in, they'll talk to them and explain to them that they're stressed, or they're anxious, or they're afraid to drive, or they can't sleep, or they're depressed, and they're the ones who then make the connection and let them know.
Yeah. Can you give some examples? It's all confidential, but a situation where there may have been some shame involved in the aftermath of an accident?
Well, there's an example of a patient that I had where she was in an auto accident and she had friends in the car. She was on her way to work and was T-boned, but the car where she was hit was on the passenger side, And so what ended up happening was her friend that was on the passenger side ended up dying. And she was
Mm.
very, very upset about it. And she felt a lot of shame because she survived it. And she was very close to him. And she is very close with the family. So
I
that
can't
is a
even
very
imagine.
difficult thing. Yeah, it's a very difficult thing to overcome. And I mean, just like when someone passes away, it's not that's very dear to you. It's not something that we ever get over. It's something that we learn to accept to live with. And so for her, the process of accepting that is very difficult. It was very difficult.
No words. I can't even imagine somebody going through that. And talk about PTSD. That's something that is going to be with her potentially all her life. You know, it's never going to go away. You just need to manage it with therapy. Um,
Mm-hmm.
wow, wow. Talk about flashbacks. My gosh.
Right.
Mm,
And then there are other patients that are young that have been in auto accidents and have injured their back. And, prior to the accident, were very active, going to the gym and enjoy doing outdoor activities and can no longer do that and then feel ashamed and like a failure because they can't get back to where they were. And they're young, so they feel like they have a body of an old person because of the injuries.
very much respect what you do, even more so now, hearing all about this because there's so many different scenarios. There's so much involved here. Life changing. This is life changing and unexpected. You know, it's not like a medical condition that you degraded over a period of time. This is in a snap of a finger.
Yeah.
Life has just changed for somebody. Hmm.
Yeah.
Can you take us on the journey through psychotherapy? Let's say it's a significant accident, not a little fender bender. Um, and what that looks like, how many sessions, weekly, just kind of the basic journey.
So when they come to their first therapy appointment with me or with any of the therapists that work in the company, what we do is we do a psychological assessment. And in that assessment, we find out what has happened in the accident. And then after we figure that out, we talk about it and we talk about mentally where they're at as far as now being in a car after the accident, how they feel, where their response is. Then we schedule from that point on a weekly appointment for them and they attend therapy and are in a matter of I guess in a metaphor the cocktail would be some talk therapy and then we do some biofeedback along in addition or at the same time simultaneously with the talk therapy and then we do some hypnotherapy and depending on the the accident and where they're at and what their issue is at the time there are different techniques that can be done to help process through the trauma and so we will go through that. And it starts with 6 sessions.
Okay.
And if at the end of 6 sessions, they aren't where they would like to be, then we ask for pre-certification to do 6 additional sessions. And
And
so,
the
go ahead.
modalities that you employ, what do you do? I know there's so many different types that can be used to work through the trauma and such. What are some of the ones that you do?
So we do the psychotherapy portion of it, which is the talk therapy,
Okay.
because part of what we're doing is we're helping them to build their ego strength and change the way that they're thinking if they feel ashamed and they feel like they've lost their independence. So it's about taking it one step at a time towards the healing process, accepting what has happened. If the injuries are permanent, what can be done from that moment on. We also teach coping techniques, and so we teach them how to relax their body, the importance of breathing. And that's pretty much a reminder for everyone because we know how to breathe. So it's amazing what just breathing properly can help with. And then we do techniques with the hypnotic technique. So we do a lot of hypnotic inductions, which is same as meditating to help them relax their mind, to relax their body, and to visualize what it is, the type of life that they can have, what they're working towards. If it's working towards being more comfortable when driving, then focusing on
Mm.
that and also focusing in on reinforcing and rebuilding their confidence and their self-esteem, you know, and we take it from there. And we check in. We have a symptom survey that is really good to gauge where they're at. So for their first appointment, there's some consent forms that they sign. And then there's a symptom survey that they go through. And then we add that up and see where their number is. And so every 6 weeks, we will give that symptom survey just to gauge if anything has changed. And we also ask how they're feeling and where they see they are at the moment versus when they first started.
You said something before I never even thought of, and that is driving again. Oh my gosh.
Mhm.
Wow. Like, I can't imagine many people feeling comfortable after a major accident, getting behind the wheel again. Um, and there's, just one aspect of therapy to walk them through that. Wow. Um,
Yeah, it's sad. It's sad in a
mm,
sense. And anything can change in a minute, in a second, anything
yeah.
can change.
Mm.
Yeah.
The areas that you can geographically help people with therapy, is that just in your area, in New Jersey?
For now, it is in New Jersey.
Okay.
I would have to look into, I'm building the practice. So starting in New Jersey in the state that I'm in is what I'm doing. And once that's more established, then I'm open to looking into other states that can offer that as well.
See, the difference here is you can get a therapist, you know, there's many.
Hmm.
You specialize in this. You get it. You understand it. You kind of know what somebody is thinking and feeling to some degree so that you can walk that journey beside them and help bring them back to life, essentially. Um, is it talk therapy? There's a lot of modalities out there. Is it still impactful? It still gets the job done talking about it.
It does. It does. Because when you're talking about it, you're releasing what you're thinking. If you're not talking about it, there's the possibility that you start to loop in your head. And we've all experienced that when we're overthinking something. You
Mm,
start thinking in your head, and sometimes when we're looping, it becomes irrational. So when we speak about what is going on within our head, we hear it in a different way. And that changes the way that we think. And when you're sitting with a professional and you're in a safe space, that part of that is normalizing what has happened.
mm. That being said, can you offer some suggestions to somebody how they could start navigating through challenging situations? I've often heard write it down. To your point, when it's in your head, it's just
Mhm.
like it's ricocheting back and forth, the monkey chatter, blah, 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 and you just like after a while, I'm like, I can't even think anymore because now you become obsessed with trying to look at a situation from all different angles, right?
Right, right. So, it really depends on the type of person that you are. If you're a creative person, then you can
Mm,
do something creative. So if you're into art or um, doing some type of crafts with your hands, you can do that. Writing definitely helps. And now, actually, there are some journals that you can purchase that have questions or sayings to help navigate that process. But you can also get like just a regular notebook or a blank journal and just start writing. But the important thing is to make sure that when you're writing it down, that you don't stay stuck there. The idea is to write it down and release it, you know. And what I often do with my clients, I always say, if you're going to write it, you're writing down everything that you're feeling and you feel like it's just too overstimulating, it's important to stop. So to avoid doing that, I always say at the very end, when you're done, write at least three things that you're grateful for.
So to your point, I have a gratitude journal, and also further to your point, I was writing down in a notebook, and that's all great, the gratitude journal. Then I spent $8 on Amazon. You can buy them for 25. I got one of the knockoffs. It
Mhm.
accomplishes the same situation, and it
Mhm.
has the fields that you can write in. So it's got the three lines, today I'm grateful for, but then it goes into a little bit more depth. Um, my affirmations, I am, and then there's three lines there. You can write them in. What would make today great? Three lines, you can write them in. Um, it's like holding your hand, kind of a template. It just makes it easier, because it's tough enough thinking about this kind of stuff and applying it. And now you got to remember, oh, yeah, I forgot to write down affirmations or whatever it might be. Best $8 ever spent. And that thing is good for at least a year. So
It is, it
stuff
is.
out there, and the breathe. Let's go back on breathing. I know this is going to sound ridiculous, but breathing is underrated.
Hmm.
We don't realize what it does, how it's like an amazing biological reset button to just take some intentional deep breaths.
Yes.
It's marvelous. We don't realize how good it is, right?
It is. And for overthinkers, I guess those would be the left brainers that are always analyzing. Sometimes it's very hard to just sit and breathe and clear your mind. So then you can do like a walking meditation or some yoga, something that there's movement, or listen to somebody who is guiding you through, because that becomes helpful until you get to the point where you're able to do it on your own,
You
you
know,
know?
there's many times where we can get challenged or get in our heads thinking about things. And if you take a second, when you're in that moment, and if you take a second to analyze your breathing, I betcha you're probably shallow breathing.
Hmm.
And I'm not talking about panic attack or an anxiety attack or anything like that. I'm just talking about you're thinking about things and you're trying to, you're feeling uncomfortable. I bet if you look at your breathing, you're probably taking very short breaths and don't even realize that you're doing that.
Yeah.
It,
And that's why our body gets anxious, and that's where stress comes from, because we're not breathing properly. And then that creates a whole, well, let me say, it can create a whole other problem, different illnesses in our body when we
mm,
don't breathe properly. We don't learn how to let go and release.
yeah, in Asian cultures, they deep breathe all the time. In this culture, we're short breaths, and just brought back a memory. This would have been probably about 8 years ago. I was talking with the son of a friend of mine, and he's working on a deck on my house at the time. So one generation back, right? So we're talking, and like we're feeling fatigued, and we're just just weird. Like we're both tired. We don't know what's go brain foggy and everything. Talking together about it, we identified, this is going to sound ridiculous, that we weren't breathing deeply.
Hmm.
Ridiculous. Like we both had that thought, like, wait a minute, you, me, we're not breathing deep. Like, what is going on? He was in the middle of working on the deck and a little bit of stress. He wanted it to come out right, and that I got stuff going on. And I just remembered that moment. That, as ridiculous as it sounds, once you just take that time and take those deep breaths in, um, are there are there formulas? I've heard so many different ones, 448 and all different ones. Is there anything that you stick by when it comes to breathing?
For changing the mood that you're in, I always relay that when you take a deep breath, and I do it, I do the exercise with the patient when I'm reminding them of how to breathe deeply. I always say, you can already feel once you take 2 deep breaths, your body's shifting. You can feel that it changes. So I generally say anywhere between 6 to 10 breaths will help change the mood that you're in.
Hmm. It is amazing, isn't it? What you feel like after you do that?
Yes.
Just like the
Yeah.
sense of calm.
Yeah.
It's so easy.
It is. And it's always important too, when you're doing something, to understand as far as what it is that you're doing that helps to create this safe and calm place for you. So, like, for some people, that's writing, it's a journaling. For some people, it can be creative things, making jewelry, some artwork, painting, sketching, you know,
Hmm.
going to the gym, pounding some ground, punching a punching bag, releasing it.
That's one of my favorite things to do is just put on gloves and I don't kickbox. I have maybe one lesson, three, whatever. I haven't done it in a long time, but I'm yearning for it now. Like just it's a great release, just doing something. And there's many people that do art therapy. I've talked to art therapists before about that, and everybody gets caught up on the, oh, I'm not creative, I'm not an art. You don't have to be. We all are. We don't think that you have to be. We all have creativity within us, and it's not just writing. You could take cardboard and glue it together and create something that would be special for a gift for somebody else. You never know, but it's an
Right.
outlet. It's releasing. It's expressing. Um, and Miriam, what's the best way if somebody has been in a car accident, just had this realization that, oh, my insurance company is going to take care of it. I didn't realize that I could do psychotherapy for that.
Mhm.
And they're in New Jersey. How do they find you?
So they can go to the website at www.peppna.com. That's for Pressman and Associates. Or they can call at the number, which is 856 548 9557.
And I just want to go back to PNA. So it's PIP and it's PNA.com, right? What's that? What's the PNA stand for again?
Pressman and Associates, LLC.
Gotcha. And the PIP stands for?
The PIP is for personal injury protection.
Gotcha. Okay. Boy,
So
the things you learn when you start talking about stuff. Thank you so much for all of this today. So important. You never know, even if you haven't been in an accident, drive safe, people, but we don't know what's going to happen in the next 5 minutes. But
right.
certainly, knowing that this type of therapy is there and paid for by insurance is comforting. Appreciate you being here once again.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Thank you. We'll be right back.
This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.